What's up, guys? Welcome to the vlog. Today we're going to go over what my major is, what my thesis is, and today's training. So my major is industrial design, and for those who don't know what that is using the design process to solve problems in the world, usually with a focus on people. So it's not like social work or anything like that. It's more of how a user interacts with physical products. So how do we go about doing all of that? That's where the design process comes in. And that goes through a number of steps, none of them in a particular order. It usually starts off with like research, ideation, permutation, iteration, model making, sketching, CAD models, rendering, test models, working models, and then at the end you kind of make your decisions. Now, to start off with like research, we all kind of know what that is, but for what we do is we try to find what the problem is in the current market. For example, how a particular user feels about a certain phone, I guess. Basically what I'm trying to say is how we try to find the problem of what are users not liking about certain products, and how can we make that product look better or work better for the user. So how do we start doing that? We start with brainstorming. Sometimes you get a whole team in the room, or usually it's at least two people, and you take a bunch of sticky notes and you start plastering walls with sticky notes of like potential solutions. So we start off with that. You can do little thumbnail sketches that are on sticky notes, or maybe just 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper. And these drawings will just have little call-outs of how it might work, some key functions of that product, and things like that. You start off with a bunch of different ideas that are not related to each other, and these are called permutations. These are just to make sure that you are going through every direction that you can without going through every direction that you can and making sure that you are finding every way possible to solve this solution. Some of them are going to be better than others, and that's how you start finding the best, by going in all these different directions and then narrowing it down to which one solves the solution the best. From those permutative sketches, you can make sketch models. These can be out of like blue foam, balsa wood, and even paper, for example, if you use like a Bristol board or a thick stock paper. From those models, you can say, okay, well, I like where this one's going, and this one's not really working the way I want it to. Maybe it's just too small, maybe it's too big, maybe this hole shouldn't be here or whatever. Then you go into iterations. You pick the ones that are working, and you start refining. You start doing more ideas based on those 5 or 10 or maybe even just 3, and you start choosing which things you like about it, and you start iterating off that. You start drawing again, you start making models again based on those specific functions. Well, this one had like a little clamp that was working, or this one has, I don't know, a particular fillet that looks really nice. This one fits that brand really well. Let's keep going in that direction. Alright, so you have your sketches, and these sketches are now a little better. They show more line weight, they show a higher level of detail, and these ones you send to the client. Once you get that first model done, you can start creating 3D models and renders that you really show the client at the end, like, okay, this is exactly what we're going to do, this is exactly what it's going to look like, details, paint, finish, little fillets and radiuses, and exactly how it's going to work, what it's going to look like. Once you get that done, you can start making things like 3D printed models and things like that, just so you can show the client, alright, this is exactly what it looks like, this is how big it is, and this is what it's going to be. And then you test again, test again, test again, and hopefully everything goes smoothly so that you can just start producing it. And that's basically the entire design process, to go from idea, or not even an idea, from we have an issue, to we have an idea, to we have potential solutions, we have a few solutions that are really good, and now we have one final solution that really nails what we're trying to do. Okay, so if you got through that, congrats, because that was a lot of information to take in on one specific major. I only know it because I've been doing this for 4 years, and they just drill it into your head because you have to. So after you go through 4 years of learning that, on your final 2 semesters, they go, okay, sir, we've taught you all this stuff, make something. And they just drop it in your lap, and you're like, okay. Research. You spend an entire semester just on research and finding a problem. So my friend and I ended up partnering up, and we ended up focusing specifically on something that we love, fitness. And our thesis is, to put it in the simplest terms, we are creating a wearable piece of technology that provides haptic and visual feedback for those that are trying to get the most out of their workouts. Basically for beginners, because they get really frustrated a lot easier, especially people that are, New Year's resolutioners that want to get in shape, that really want to, this is the year that I'm going to lose X amount of weight, or this is the year that I'm going to make my dream body come true. We are working specifically for those type of people because sometimes they get frustrated, and there's a crazy stat where only 22% of New Year's resolutioners make it to October before they quit their gym membership, which is an insane stat. So we're trying to lower that stat by creating this product. So what we did was we did an entire semester of research on those stats and the mind-muscle connection and how that is linked to more muscle activation, and because of that muscle activation you can break the muscle down better, and you can have basically better gains. And who doesn't want that? So what we did is when we started designing, we pinned up like a bunch of sticky notes on like what the wearable could be. Is it just like pods that just go all over yourself? Is it like an exoskeleton? Is it just a wrap that you put on yourself? Or is it like this shirt? And that idea kind of stuck to us the most. So what we did next was we found a lot of inspiration from Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Gymshark, and we didn't just take apparel as an inspiration. We also looked at shoes that have like a knit, like Flyknit and Adidas Prime Knit. We pinned up that entire wall, and we're like, all right, so how do we want to tackle this? Maybe we should get the anatomy of a guy and start sketching around it. Maybe we could put little sensors on it so that they can see what the muscles are doing, and maybe we'll have little vibration pads, because that'll give you like a nice little haptic feedback that maybe this muscle should be firing. All right, cool. So we ended up I'll show you. This guy, we'll call him Mark, and we put tracing paper around him, and we just drew a ton of different shirt ideas. It was kind of weird because you can't really show knit with these sketches. You kind of just have to like have that in your head. So what we did, for example, I'll show you right here. This one is just basically, we're calling out, this could be a loose or a really tight knit, while this one could be like a looser knit so that it would drape down. It's not calling too much attention to the body. That ended up being one of our final permutations or iterations. We ended up doing about 54 sketches overall, just to get a complete sense of what this thing could look like as a shirt. And those were our permutations. From there we took 5, and we started iterating from those. We did about 10 more, just because at the end of that day I was drained. I had nothing left in my brain. Did it again the next day, and then we narrowed it down to just like combining 2 of them. Some things that we liked in one, some things that we liked in another. We decided to make 2 renders of those, and after we discussed it, we were like, all right, what if we just combine those 2, and that's what it looks like. All right, cool. We have our design. We have what it's going to look like. We have how the user is going to interact with it, because it's going to have some sort of aligning system so that you're always in the right shape when you're wearing it. Then we have to think about, okay, how's this going to provide feedback? All right, well, if we're going to do these little vibration pads, maybe it has to be small, because we don't want it too big, and it has to be kind of minimal. We don't want to be causing too much attraction to ourselves, especially if we're a newcomer in the gym, because we're already nervous about being in there. All right, so where are we going to get these little vibrators? We ended up getting inspiration. There used to be a little vibrator in this thing, and that came from like an Oral-B toothbrush. There'd be a battery right here, and there's a little vibrator, and I literally dissected a toothbrush and said, okay, this is where we're going to start. We then found these little guys. This is a much smaller vibrator, and we thought, okay, these are perfect. However, when we started testing them, they're a little weak. So what we did is we found the ones that we were currently using, which are these little guys. These are like the original ones that were in the toothbrush, just stronger. And they're basically just little capsules, and we're going to have them ideally all over the body so you could have a bunch of sensors going off. Not all at once, obviously, because you're only trying to train certain muscles at a time. But this is the vibrator we're going to work with. And when we were testing people, this one got the best feedback. This was giving just enough that they could feel it, but it wasn't too much where you're just doing one of these. I don't know what that was. We worked on our working model. All right, well, how are these EMGs going to work? How are they going to know? Well, ideally, there'll be a little area in the app that is measuring your muscle activation for specific things. So if I'm doing a dumbbell curl, one arm will flex and then one graph will go up, and then when the other arm flexes, the other one will go up. All right, cool. How are we going to test that? Well, we have this little model right here, which is our current proof of concept, and it's basically an LED. Is this focusing? Kind of. It's focusing on me. Your little LED strip, right? And this is your little board with EMG pads right here. What it does is the EMGs read your muscle activation, and through this little computer thing, it puts it out into a digital readout so that the more your muscle's contracting, the higher these are going up in terms of LEDs. Now, so let me show you how it works. When I flex, all these are going off, and then when I release, they're going back. So if I'm doing this for reps, you could see my muscle activation. Ideally, if you're doing something like a bicep curl, you'd have another one right here. So there'd be these loaded all over your torso, obviously a lot smaller. You'd still have these little EMG pads, but this, physically, this part would be in the app, so you wouldn't see this. But the point of it is that when you're working out, after you do your set, you can go back and you can see whether A, it was firing, and B, if both of them are firing at the same level. Alright, so that's it for the video, guys. If you made it this far, you might as well like and subscribe. Welcome to the channel. Before I go, though, I think I'm going to send you guys off with like a quick physique update. So without further ado, put that down. I'm only about 155 right now. Nothing huge. Calves are small, always will be. Legs. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video.